Welcome back, trainers, and in this video we're going to be focusing on Scrafty. This is a very interesting Pokemon, being both fighting and dark type. It is going to be extremely weak to fairy, so it's not necessarily a Pokemon to use for a novice trainer. You're going to have to really know what you're doing, otherwise you can get yourself caught up in a bad situation. Now take a look at this matchup, the Empoleon versus the Giratina. Quite amazing that I was able to land that Blizzard there and basically one-shot it. What a good feeling that was. So taking a look at Scrafty's stats, it's going to be dark in fighting. Max CP 2,283, attack 163, defense 222, and stamina 163. So it's going to be fairly defensive, right? And from my experience, it can take hits fairly well. It lasts a good amount of time. And we're going to take a look at the moves. I'm going to recommend which ones you're actually going to be wanting to use here. And then I'm just going to have the battles playing in the background. Once I'm done talking about the stats, then we're going to more focus on these battles here. But for now, just go ahead and see. But I will say this right off the bat. Take a look. A Lowland Muck is going to be something a lot of people are using to counter Giratina. And Scrafty can handle that thing. It puts it right in its place. Gunk Shot is going to hurt a little bit, but those counters and then the power-up punch, it is beautiful. Now taking a look at its moves, it does have Snarl and Counter for the quick moves. I'm going to definitely recommend you go with Counter. Although you could find some play with Snarl, but that's just my recommendation. You want to go with Counter. And then for the charge moves, we have Foul Play, Power Up Punch, and Acid Spray. Now I'm running Power Up Punch and Foul Play. All right, so Foul Play to hit those Ghost types, and then the Power Up Punch to take out the Steel types or anything weak to fighting. It also has Acid Spray, which, I mean, wow, I would love to see a video of somebody using Acid Spray and Power Up Punch with Counter in combination with each other. So basically lower the defense, then use Power Up Punch to raise your attack so that the opponent's defense has been dropped, your attack has been raised, and the counter is just going to rip and tear into that opponent. So, but I'm going to say Foul Play is what you're going to want to go with. Acid Spray, very interesting, but not necessarily something you're going to want to run. Now taking a look at the weaknesses here, it's going to be 4 times weak to fairy, weak to fighting, and then flying. Here's the best part, resisting dark quite a bit because it is dark itself as well as fighting. Both of those types resist dark. And then it's also going to be resisting ghost, psychic, and rock. So going up against Giratina, the only thing that's going to be hitting it for neutral is going to be dragon type moves. So make sure you're just aware of that. But otherwise, going up against Giratina altered form can be a bit tricky. You're going to have to bait shields with the Power Punch. So basically you hit it with Foul Play and then you hit it with Power Punch. They're expecting another Foul Play, but then you hit it with Power Punch. You raise your attack. We'll see some examples here in a minute. So going up against the Registeel, I suppose we can focus on these battles now. And then I'm going to have the Pvpoke on the side so you do see how well it does perform against certain situations. And you can just take a look at that as we look at these battles here. Do we have the Swampert? So this specific trainer beat me twice. This is the first time I run into them, and then I run into them again, and they beat me again. And their MVP, I feel like, was obviously the Registeel was just annoying, but the Kangaskhan that they have is going to be putting in work here. All right, so we do have our Empoleon out, and we're able to barely survive, but then they switch into Kangaskhan. Taking this out with that Mud Slap, and then they use an Outrage to take me out. I was so hoping that was going to be a Power Punch. So I'm still getting the hang of Scrafty right now. I'm still finding its niche, right? But it's a pretty awesome Pokemon, and I've found a lot of success, as you're going to see in these videos. So we did have the lead, and now I get to showcase how well it does perform up against a Registeel. Now you definitely have to look out for that Focus Blast, because that will take you out. But look at this little tough cookie here. So we survived the Focus Blast, but watch how long and how well it is going to be able to perform. Those lock-ons are not going to really do much, and those power-up punches are going to accumulate as well as your counter. So I do believe I win this matchup here. They don't shield, they actually decide to let it go down. And I'm not too sure what's going on there. I feel like they had a possible Flash Cannon, but they didn't get it off. But anyways, so they went into Swampert, we switch into Venusaur, and then they make a switch into Giratina, and now we have our Snorlax in this battle. Now this is a good situation, really depends on the shield scenario. So your Lick is what you're going to be relying on. Body Slam is going to do damage, but it's not going to do really that much. I decided to just go for Earthquake here, thinking that they might think I'm just going to go Body Slam, but they make the correct decision and shield it up because I was out there licking for a while. Yeah, anyway, so Yeah, let's see how this plays out. We're going to make a switch. Oh, we knew they were going to switch. Look at that. We got our thing ready and everything. All right, so they bring their Swampert in. We're going to go immediately with that Frenzy Plant. And there's nothing they can do. Earthquake, Venusaur can tank those in the Ultra League. Venusaur is a beast. So even going up against a Registeel, I found that I was able to basically get it down into the red if I did have a shield. Just Frenzy Planting over and over again really works. And look, it even takes a good chunk off the tanky Giratina. So we do bring in our Snorlax here. Gonna go for that Body Slam, Jam, and we have a shield left. But we are so... what we were flexing there. Look at that. That was our last Pokemon. We didn't shield it up. All right, so good games. Moving on to the next one here. And we're starting it off with Venusaur up against a Steelix. Now, this is a favorable matchup for me. Even if they get to Earthquake, I'm going to be able to spam those Frenzy Plants, and it's going to be actually doing a good amount of damage onto that Steel and Ground-type Pokemon. So it's not going to be fully resisting the grass. They make a switch. We have a ton of energy. They make a switch into Togekiss. I'm like, okay, we don't need to switch because Venusaur wins this matchup as well. We just have to look out for that Flamethrower that will eventually happen after they accumulate enough energy here. So, yeah, the whole shielding it up with the Togekiss that is a situation that I found myself going up against quite a bit. People love to shield their Togekiss when you're in that Venusaur matchup. But it's funny enough, whenever I do go for the bait, the Frenzy Plant, they decide not to shield, even though I've made my way up to the Energy for Sludge Bomb. It's just the way it goes. It's just a coincidence. Anyways, bringing in that Scrafty, they can't handle it. That Steelix had to retreat. And they do bring in Poliwrath, which I'm going to say Poliwrath is a fantastic pick for the Ultra League. Dynamic Punch, Ice Punch, it can handle the Registeel, it can handle the Dragons to some degree, as well as the Ice or the Grass types. So it's a fantastic option, as well as having access to that Mud Shot because it's not Legacy anymore. So we bring in our Snorlax here to absorb as much as we can. It can take a Power-Up Punch, or should I say Dynamic Punch, and we can still truck on here. So it is going to take us down, but we pretty much bring it down low enough and comfortable here. So they do enter back in with their Steelix, and well, it's pretty much game over. That's all they have left, and we're just going to finish it off. The Scrafty. It is a fun Pokemon to use. It's so rewarding when you win with it too. Now here we go, back with this trainer, round 2. Sorry, I already spoiled it for you, and I said that they won twice. So that King is gone. Another good option. I have one of those in the Ultra League with 2 moves. I can't wait to test it out, so it should be a fun option, especially with Outrage going up against those Giratinas. Being that normal type, you will be resisting the Ghost. Hopefully they have Shadow Claw, not Dragon Breath, right? And we are going to be making a switch into Snorlax here, which our licks aren't going to be doing anything. That was a questionable switch, but that's okay. They bring in their Togekiss, and all I know is I need to take that thing out. We have Scrafty in the back, which is going to be extremely weak to that. And above all things, the Snorlax needs to get that Togekiss out of here. After that, the Scrafty can run around and do whatever it wants, right? So it's also going to have to look out for those fighters, those Machamps, those Harayamas, or whatever else people are using, Poliwraths, right? Because Dark moves, not very effective. Fighting to another fighting is going to be neutral, but to Scrafty, it's super effective. So in comes that Registeel here. Now, we're in a bit of a predicament because, well, they're going to be able to gain plenty of energy. So whatever we do bring in here is going to have to take a hit, or I'm going to have to use a shield here. So I do decide to bring my Venusaur in to absorb all of that. And that is exactly what it does. Unfortunately, we're not able to get to a Frenzy Plant. We do bring in our Scrafty here. And now let's get to work. Let's see what we can do here. Yeah, so Registeel. See, now I would personally make one for the Ultra League. It's just I don't want to invest the rare candies right now. I haven't been raiding as hard. I'm not stacked on the rare candies like I usually am, unfortunately. So investing in another Registeel currently is just not ideal. I went ahead and went with the Regice because I had those candies from the raid day. So, or should I say the Colossal raid day. Anyways, see, Scrafty is putting in work. We did lose that one again to them, but the thing is, I'm still, getting a good understanding as to what Scrafty is exactly going to be capable of doing here, and I'm finding out that it works magnificent. So going into this next battle, we do have a great lead against that Poliwrath. They do decide to stay in here, assuming they have Ice Punch, and I do let that first one go through because we will be able to spam our Frenzy Plants, but at the same time, that Poliwrath with that, not the Legacy anymore, but that Mud Shot is going to be able to spam the Ice Punches. So they do switch into Giratina. And here we go. Let's see what we can do here. So the first one, I'm going to go for a Dark Pulse. And like we said in the beginning of the video, the second one is going to be Power Punch. Because at this point, I'm going to be able to take them down with the Foul Play. So they don't want that to happen, right? So what I'm going to do is go Power Punch. And we're looking good. Now we're going up against a Dragon Breath. That's not ideal. You want Shadow Claw to go up against that specific Giratina because you'll be resisting it. So unfortunately, the Scrafty was taken down. But still, you get the idea there. If it was, had more health, we would have been able to bait out that shield and then go for a Foul Play and take it out. We have other examples down the line. This is going to be a fairly long video with plenty of battles to do comparison for. All right, so they bring in Conflable. This is great. Great situation for the Venusaur here, and we're able to get to that Sludge Bomb. Not enough, unfortunately. We do bring in our Snorlax, which has plenty of health left, so we're going to be able to comfortably take this win with that Body Slam. So I was kind of switching my team up from battle to battle here, but I kept the Scrafty in there the whole time, as well as the Venusaur. I felt like that was a good combination. They complemented each other. So the lead with the Togekiss against my Venusaur, great situation here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go for that bait. I think this is the time where they actually... Okay, we finally happened. We're able to actually bait it with Frenzy Plant. So we're going to go ahead and shield this up because that's going to hurt. And even though we're resisting Charm, it's still doing a lot of damage. Now, they bring in a Roserade. Very, very different. So, good. I like to see new Pokemon. They used it basically as a shield, a sacrificial swap to absorb that Sludge Bomb. And in comes the Swampert there. So, they realized they needed to get that Venusaur out or at least absorb that because they could not bring in that Swampert against my Venusaur. So, we do have our... Snorlax matched up against that Swampert here, and they do make another switch, so they played very well. I'm just going to say that, and I'm going to be switching back into my Venusaur, but at this point, we're not looking great. So I tried to bait, and we get it, good, but the Charm is going to be able to take us down before we're able to get to another one, so we're not looking great with Scrafty in the back. That is going to be bad, and I screw up here. I use my shield. I was tapping on the screen like a fool, and I could have won this if I did not do that. So my plan was to just go in there with the Snorlax, do what I had to do, take it out with Scrafty, and then the Swampert was going to come in. I would have been lower on health for sure because that Snorlax wouldn't have put in work after shielding, but nonetheless, I would have been able to shield up that Hydro Cannon and then finish off that Swampert there with counters, but unfortunately, yeah, that's why you don't vigorously tap on the screen. I never do that. I don't understand why I did that. I guess I wasn't paying attention, but good games nonetheless there. Moving on to our next opponent. Starting it off with Venusaur into a Gyarados. Now, this is great for us still. Yeah, it's going to be Flying type for sure, but the Frenzy Plants are still going to hurt it a lot. So it is a bit squishy out there. So they do make a switch into Blaziken with Fire Spin for the quick move. I'm not too sure. I think that might be to counter the Venusaurs and to counter the Registeels. So they're safe with... Fire Spin if they go up against a Venusaur. I don't know. Personally, for me, if I was running Blaziken, I probably would go counter, but that's just me. Anyways, they would have been doing so much more damage to my Snorlax here as well. They hit us with Blaze Kick. Okay. And we're just going to respond with a Body Slam. And it almost takes them out, and then we just finish it off with Lick. There's no more shield on their end, so we're looking pretty good now. And we still have a shield left. In comes the Venusaur. And we're just going to go ahead and go Body Slam spam. It just works so well. Snorlax is a fantastic pick for this cup. Well, this Ultra League. Alright, I'm so used to saying cups. Alright, so going back in with the Venusaur here. And we're just going to Sludge Bomb it. And I do decide to let this go through. Yeah, absolutely. It was not enough for a Sludge Bomb. In comes the Gyarados. We're going to be shielding this up and then going for a Frenzy Plant or switching into Scrafty. Now, look at this. The Gyarados is Flying type, but the counters are still doing a lot of damage to it. And we get it low enough to finish it off with counters in Scrafty taking the win for me here. And then even finishing off Venusaur. Good. Good stuff. Alright, moving it into the next. All rank 10s as you can see here. So this is not a good situation. Let's see how we can pull this up and see if we can actually win this. So we do not want to make a switch into our hard counter for obvious reasons. So they can't hard counter us with it because we can save it for later. They make a switch into the Swampert up against our Snorlax. And yeah, the Hydro Cannon is going to be very spammy and hurt our Snorlax. But at the same time, we're going to be able to bring that Swampert down fairly low without using a shield. So Snorlax, I would say it's a pretty safe switch. Unless they had some sort of fighting type in the back, you're going to be looking good. And we're able to win that with licks. With licks, let's go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go for Earthquake here because why not go for the big move? We have the Scrafty in the back. If they let it go through, if they shield it, doesn't matter. They let it go through, which is even better. Now, at this point, I could enter with Scrafty, right? Snorlax, weak to fighting, but there is a Registeel in the back, and I do not want that to line up incorrectly. So what we're going to do is just enter with the Venusaur, and if they do decide to switch, we'll be able to just counter them with our Scrafty. So at this point, we're looking fantastic. The body slams are not doing enough, while the frenzy plants are going to be able to spam a little bit faster and take out that Snorlax. And as soon as we do see that Registeel, I think we're going to make an immediate switch, or we might try to do chip damage. But then again, they're going to be able to gain energy. But at this point, we still have 2 shields. So I think the best idea right now is just to continue to put on damage and pressure onto that Registeel. They still have a shield left, but I'm going to be relying more on my power-up punch, which not necessarily needs to get through. We're going to be going with the counters. The counters are going to accumulate and help us take the win here. So that Registeel is fairly low. As you can see, Venusaur, I mean, look, it still puts on work. I mean, against the Registeel, and then Scrafty is going in there and cleaning up the scraps. All right, so going into the next battle. No disrespect, I didn't mean that was not in a disrespectful way. And Togekiss, which is a great lead like we've seen before, they make the switch into Muck. All right, so now you're going to see Scrafty going up against an Alolan Muck, folks. You're going to see the Alolan Muck roaming around to counter those Giratinas, but Scrafty can put in work as long as you shield correctly. So I knew that Sludge Wave was coming, but I was like, okay, I can tank this. That's fine. And we're just going to keep going power-up punches. And I know they're not going to get to another Sludge Wave. It costs too much energy, and they don't need to. Maybe they're trying to bait a shield at this point, so I was like, Dark Pulse is coming, we don't need to shield that up, and I called it correctly. And at this point, we're looking great. I think we might shield this up at this point. We let it go through still. We still were just braving it, and we survive and take out the Muck. Scrafty, no shields, let's go, beating Alolan Muck. Do you see the potential here, folks? Amazing. So they bring in the Togekiss. We're going to try to bait a shield out. We do, and now we're going to go for the Sludge Bomb. Let's see if they continue to use your shields. They let it go through, which is great. And at this point, I think we decide to shield up. All right, that's a good idea. Aerial Ace would have hurt us quite a bit. And then they make an immediate switch, and we're going to respond with a Togekiss conveniently in the back for us against that Giratina. Now, the Togekiss does have to look out for the Ancient Power on those things because it's going to be super effective. Also, if they get the boost, rest in peace, because one of these Giratinas with a boost is nasty. My first couple of battles, people got the boost, and I was like, what is going on here? This is nonsense. One, they're using Giratina, and they're also getting the boost first try, but it is what it is. We're able to take it down and take the other Togekiss down, too, with like a couple bits of health. Now we have our Rage Quitter. Take a good look at this name. Now I'm going to go into this battle. I'm going to beat them, and then we're going to actually, beat them again afterwards. But I was thinking to myself, as soon as we were done with the first battle, I was like, I really hope I don't run into this Pokemon or this this trainer again. There's just something that I felt about them that I felt like they were going to rage quit. And my gut was right. So let's just see what happens. So we go here with Venusaur against the Shiftry. All right. We don't need to shield this up. And then we're just going to wait to see if they switch. And they do. So we're going to go ahead and reply with our Scrafty here. And we're going to put in work. We're going to trick them up a bit. I do believe this is where I bait them out. So we're going to go ahead and go for that foul play. And then we're going to go for a power-up punch after this to bait the shield. We're going to use a shield because we kind of want to keep that Scrafty healthy if we want to play this out correctly. And also using a shield gives them the sense that you're trying to win this matchup. Therefore, you're going to be going for another hard-hitting move. But this time, we're going to be going for power-up punch. And now we're just doing more damage. So they've used a shield. If they want to commit 2 shields to my Scrafty, then by all means, be my guest. And we are able to almost get another one. Unfortunately, we're not able to. And this is where I need to start practicing more with the switches quicker. But that matchup, Giratina is just a beast. Unfortunately, it was not able to. Scrafty is not able to take that win. So we do have Melmetal here. Testing this one out. I do have it with the secondary move. It's able to rock slide it out. In comes the Swampert. Now, good thing we have power or superpower, because that's going to actually be doing a decent amount of damage. And then we're going to immediately retreat, so we do not have that attack lowered on our Melmetal, and then bring in the Venusaur, and from here on out it's just downhill for them. All right, so we're going to shield up this Swampert here and then just completely wreck them. And I say it like that because they quit. I don't really have respect for them. All right, so they take us out with that Hydro Cannon. In comes the Melmetal. We're going to hit it with Superpower. And at this point, they're probably through their phone, on their couch, or their car seat, or wherever they were, their bed. All right, so we're going to go and, like we just said, guess what? We found him again. Yay! So at this point, they didn't switch up their team. I didn't switch up my team. They know this is a losing scenario for them because they just witnessed it. But this time around, I know what they have, so I'm going to be able to dance around them a whole lot better than before. So they do that same switch like before. And let's see if we can get our Scrafty to actually take the Giratina out this time, right? Let's see what we have here. So they're going to go Dragon Claw. We're going to go Power Up Punch. Okay, maybe we can get the shield the first time around. We do. That's great. Now, I don't know if I commit 2 shields to the Scrafty this time. I think I may have. All right, so we're going to go ahead and just let that go through. Okay, so now we're going to go Foul Play with the Scrafty. And you're going to see when they quit here. It's always obvious. It's not like, oh, the server is broken. There's lag on the server. Yes, there is. All those things. But you'll see. So we're switching into our Venusaur. They use both shields. And it's a game over for that Swampert. It's one and done. Easy money. In comes the Giratina. And we're able to get to that Frenzy Plant, which is going to bring it dangerously low. And we're looking great. But they do take us down with Quick Boost. They have quite a bit of energy. We're going to go ahead and bring Melmetal because we're resisting both Dragon Rock. So we're looking great. We're looking great. Looking fantastic. All right, so they're going to go Shadow Sneak. Well, that one's not resisted. Okay, a little sneaky over there. So I decide to take it out with just quick moves. That was not necessary, really. In comes the Shiftry. We're going to go super effective. And this is where they rage quit. I sat here for about 10 minutes, hoping that it was just going to say, you win. But nope, and it counted as a loss. Those count as a loss. What a bunch of scrubs quitting like this. Scrubs. Anyways, moving into the next battle, we are met with an Alolan Sandslash. Not good. Not good at all. So we reply with the best that I think we can, which is going to be, well, I mean, Scrafty would have been great, but I don't want to bring that out quite yet. So they bring out the Poliwrath, which is not good. We're Steel type. They're going to Dynamic Punch us. It's no bueno, folks. But we do have the Superpower, which we're just going to spam away. We're just going to spam it. We're not going to shield our Melmetal. It's just going to go down. All right. And then we should be bringing in our Venusaur for sure. Okay, looking good. And Ice Punch, I would assume. Pretty much everybody in the Ultra League for the Poliwrath is going to be running Ice Punch and Dynamic Punch with Mud Shot because everybody can have access to Mud Shot now, which gains you so much energy so fast. You're able to just spam those charge moves. So we do, I think, make a screw-up switch there. Did you see that? So we did a double switch, but they do a switch into Giratina, which is good. It's a good situation. It could be worse, right? So we're just going to play this out the best we can. We have no more shields. We're going to try to get that last shield out of them. Seeing that they're comfortable, they did not shield it up. And at this point, we're not looking good at all. So we get hit by a Dragon Claw. Not resisting it, but it's still going to be doing good damage. So we did Power Punch. Hopefully they think we're going to do another one, but they shielded up. Smart of them. Very good. Can we get to another Foul Play is the question. Or we're just going to switch into Venusaur with no more shields on their end and take them out with Frenzy Plant, which is not a bad plan at all. They do switch back into the Alolan. And now I figured they were going to switch again, and I was hoping my Scrafty is going to be able to take out the Alolan Sandslash with counters, but it was a very close one. So this is going to be the end of the video, folks. If you did enjoy it, please give it a big thumbs up. And I have a very fun video for my next one coming out, so make sure you have notifications on. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll be keeping you posted on everything Pokemon Go. And let's see what happens here. They take the win barely. Good games.